Foreign Secretary level meeting between Nepal and India has concluded as both the neighbors have agreed to prioritize issues of mutual interest, including assessment of past agreements. Good evening, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. The meeting of the Mechanism of Foreign Secretaries of Nepal and India agrees to enhance economic and development cooperation. Disputed issues to be raised during Prime Minister's India visit. Despite the lapse of 27 years since the armed conflict initiated by the erstwhile CPN Maoists, the demands raised by Maoists have not been addressed and people are yet to witness transformation in their lives. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi sets out ambitions to more than triple annual defense exports to $5 billion over the next 2 years. And the triangular series under the ICC World Cricket League 2 involving Nepal, Scotland and Namibia begins tomorrow. Nepal take on Namibia in the inaugural match of the series. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal has received an invitation for an official visit to India. India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra met Premier Dahal this evening and handed him an invitation. The office of the Prime Minister has informed that at the meeting, discussions were held on energy, trade, agriculture, education, among other bilateral cooperation. Prior to the Indian Foreign Secretary's meeting with Prime Minister Dahal, a meeting of the Mechanism of Foreign Secretaries of Nepal and India was concluded after assessing the agreements between the two countries. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, both sides have agreed to enhance economic and development cooperation for mutual interests of the two neighbors. 7-member teams led by Nepal's Secretary for Ministry of Foreign Affairs Bharatraj Paurel and India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra had participated in the meeting. Kwatra, who arrived in Kathmandu earlier this morning for his 2-day official visit, was received by Foreign Secretary Paurel at the Tribhuvan International Airport this morning. Indian Foreign Secretary Kwatra also met Minister for Foreign Affairs Bimala Rai Paurel. In the meeting held at the Foreign Ministry today, discussions were held to further strengthen ties between the two nations and create an environment to bring in investments in Nepal. Kwatra is also scheduled to meet President Bidya Devi Bhandari and senior leaders of main political parties tomorrow. Kwatra had served as the Indian ambassador to Nepal for 2 years. He is scheduled to return home tomorrow. Indian Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra participated in a meeting of the Mechanism of Foreign Secretary of Nepal and India today. In addition to holding the parley, he is also to invite Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal for his India visit. If Prime Minister Dahal's India visit will delve into topics including border dispute between the two countries and return of land based on Nepal's revised administrative map is now surfacing as a topic of interest. Indian Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra attended the Foreign Secretary level meeting immediately after arriving in Kathmandu and is now scheduled to hold political parleys. At a time when political parties are struggling with the presidential election slated for 9th of March, the Nepal visit of Indian Foreign Secretary is being analyzed from different lenses. The reason for such analysis is based on anecdotes where Indian officials visited Nepal when it was going through significant political periods. While ties between Nepal and India are good at the public level, many issues remain to be resolved between the two countries. The report of the Eminent Persons Group on Nepal-India relations has remained stranded for years because of Indian indifference, while India is yet to pay any interest on other topics including border dispute, return of land in Lipulek and Limpiadura, and approval for air route of Gautam Buddha International Airport. Nepal's trade deficit with India is more than 300 billion rupees. Nepal is also yet to gain Indian support regarding expansion of electricity line up to Bangladesh. Experts of foreign affairs are of the opinion that Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal should raise these issues clearly during his upcoming India visit. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is making preparations to prioritize issues of national interest during Prime Minister Dahal's tour of the southern neighbor. However, the government has not initiated any effective diplomatic effort to resolve the dispute related to the structures constructed by India in the Mahakali River, among other bordering regions. In the changing geopolitical scenario, Nepal's visit of high-ranking political officials of power nations is an evidence to increasing interest in Nepal. In such a situation, Nepal faces the challenge of strengthening the relationship with both China and India. The armed conflict initiated by the erstwhile CPN Maoists on February 13, 1996 lasted for 10 years. While the armed conflict of Maoists against the state was successful in changing the political system of the country, it has failed in transforming the life of the public. Baburam Bhattrai had submitted a 40-point memorandum to the erstwhile Prime Minister Sherbahadur Deuba with demands including scrapping of biased treaties, including the one reached with India in 1950, development of economy, and guarantee of employment for everyone. Saying those demands were not met, the Maoists had begun the armed conflict in 1996. The movement lasted for 10 years and ended with a peace accord on November 21, 2006. More than 17,000 Nepali nationals, including the public, protesters, and security personnel, died during the insurgency period. Hundreds of thousands of residents of rural areas were displaced, while thousands are still missing. With the Maoists joining the peace process, the monarchy saw its end and republicanism was established in the country. The entity has also been in almost all governments since then, while leading the government on 4 occasions. However, despite the lapse of 27 years since the beginning of the war against the state, the demands raised by the Maoists have not been addressed, and people are yet to witness transformation in their lives. Instead, the Maoists have changed their policies, programs, and forms of movement at different times, while the public are yet to feel the change. The biased treaties the Maoists had demanded scrapping of continue to exist. Border issues with India remain the same, while the national economy is on a downward spiral. Problems of lack of employment and issues of landless squatters alongside black marketeering, smuggling, corruption, among others, have continued unabated, even when the government is being led by CPN Maoist Center. Prime Minister and CPN Maoist Center Chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal has informed about uniting the communist establishment soon and forming a socialist front. He has also defended the government's announcement of public holiday today. While speaking at a program organized in the party office in the capital's Paris Dara today, Prime Minister Dahal said that the procedure to unify the communist powers is underway and that consensus has been reached to form the Socialist Front. Premier Dahal urged all establishments of the Maoist movement to unite. The Premier expressed commitment to attain the objective of development and good governance, and that economic and social transformation would be his top priority. Recalling the day the insurgency era began in the year 2016, Premier Dahal claimed that the decision to provide public holiday today was made by the government to honor the martyrs who's injured during the movement and their families. The Premier claimed of initiating campaigns for the country's transformation in terms of development from today. Meanwhile, criticisms are rife within the ruling coalition regarding the decision to give a public holiday on People's War Day. The move has been widely criticized in social networking platforms as well. In our Public Voice segment today, we have asked people in several provinces regarding what they think about the announcements of public holidays by governments. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
दलका विशेषज्ञहरू बसेर एउटा राष्ट्रिय स्तरको एउटा क्यालेन्डरमै समावेश गरेर एउटा बिदा दिन सकियो भने यसले आम सर्वसाधारणलाई यो हुने शास्ति चाहिँ अन्त्य हुन्छ।
आफ्नो पार्टी र स्वार्थको निम्ति दिइरहेको छ।
एक दिन अगाडि बिदा हो भनेर भन्नु भन्दा पहिले नै कुन दिन बिदा राख्ने भन्ने कुरा पहिले नै सबैलाई अवगत गराउन पर्यो।
बिदालाई घटाउँदै गएर सार्वजनिक कार्यालयहरू धेरै खोलेर जनतालाई चाहिँ सुविधा दिने ढङ्गले सरकारहरू अगाडि बढ्नु पर्ने।
अध्ययन गर्ने विद्यार्थीलाई नै घटाउ हो नि एक दिन भयो।
अर्थतन्त्रमा ठुलो असर गर्छ।
बिदाको उपलब्धि के हो भन्ने चाहिँ भएको छैन।
बिदा चाहिँ वार्षिक क्यालेन्डर बनाउने, कार्यविधि बनाउने, त्यसअनुसार चाहिँ दिने गर्नुपर्छ।
यस्तो दिवसमा बिदा दिनु उपयुक्त हुन्न।
सरकारले पछि स्थानीय बिदा भनेको छ, उता प्रदेश बिदा भनेको छ, उता के भनेको छ, त्यो बिदामा चाहिँ समर्थन छैन।
शहीदहरुप्रतिको चाहिँ समर्पित हो र
र यो राम्रो मानेको छु।
हजारौं मान्छे मारेको जुन एउटा चाहिँ घटनाहरू घटेको थियो त्यसलाई एउटा चाहिँ खुसियालीको रूपमा चाहिँ दिएको जस्तो लाग्यो। मेरो बुझाइमा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ बिल्कुलै गलत हो।
छुट्टी अब कतिखेर भने जनताहरूलाई थाहा हुँदैन।
बिदा दिनलाई हामीसँग कुनै वैज्ञानिक आधारहरू त्यस्तो केही बनाइएको छैन। सरकारलाई मन लाग्यो बिदा दिइहाल्ने।
यसरी बिदा दिनु उचित चाहिँ लाग्दैन।
22 वर्षगत चाहिँ छुट्टी दिन सक्ने सरकारले आफ्नो नीतिगत आफ्नो पार्टीको आफ्नै पार्टीले गरेको जनयुद्धलाई चाहिँ मान्यता दिने राणा फाल्ने ती सहयोग योद्धाहरूलाई कसले सम्मान गर्ने?
प्रधानमन्त्रीले हाम्रा बिदाहरू बढी भयो भनिरहेको अवस्थामा यो बिदा दिनु त्यति युक्तिसङ्गत होइन।
सार्वजनिक बिदा दिएर चाहिँ जनतालाई नै घाटा हुन्छ।
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before that, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked you, what should be done to control inflation? 56% voted for A, enhance domestic produce, 41% voted for B, market monitoring, and 3% voted for C, support industrialists. And here's today's question. What should be done to reduce the cost of production in agriculture? Your options are A, modernize agriculture, B, group farming, and C, increase aid. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Welcome back. Transport workers have announced a strike of the public vehicles in the Kathmandu Valley from tomorrow. Saying the government has yet to implement past agreements, transport workers have taken it to protest and have announced of the strike. Transport workers held a protest in Gongobu, Kathmandu against the suspension of license for a period of 6 months if found violating traffic rules more than 5 times and the fine of 1,500 rupees. They also obstructed the road, which led to a clash. Police fired a few rounds of tear gas to take the situation under control. The protesters have set 2 police vans ablaze while 10 police personnel have been injured. Meanwhile, police have arrested 4 individuals for their involvement in theft during the protests. And it's time now for the international update. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi set out ambitions to more than triple annual defense exports to $5 billion over the next 2 years as arms firms flocked to a major air show for a slice of the nation's massive import budget. The country is looking to sign defense deals worth $9 billion at the biennial 5-day Aero India event, its biggest ever, as its airlines try to compete jetliner purchases to meet civilian demand and press global aircraft manufacturers to produce more locally, mainly through partnerships. In a speech at the show, Modi called on India's private sector to invest more and more in the country's defense sector. He added that India exports defense products to 75 countries. India has been one of the world's biggest importers of defense equipment for decades, but it has punched below its weight in the global arms export market. New Delhi's export ambitions are a sign of its growing clout as it uses the leverage of huge imports to attract investment in its domestic industry. Welcome back. It's time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
The triangular series under the ICC World Cricket League 2 involving Nepal, Scotland and Namibia begins tomorrow. Nepal take on Namibia in the inaugural match of the series. The 4 matches of the series can also determine the future of Nepali cricket. Having already lost the opportunity for direct qualification to the 2024 World Cup by finishing in the top 2, Nepal's objective now is to retain its ODI status. After 24 matches, Nepal are placed 6th in the ICC World Cricket League 2 standings with 18 points. Nepal have secured 8 wins and 14 losses so far. Including the series beginning tomorrow, Nepal have 12 matches remaining. Therefore, this series is likely to determine the future of Nepali cricket, which includes young players, including skipper Rohit Paudel. Captain Paudel has said that unity is the strong aspect of Nepal and the team could win against strong oppositions in the home series. With 3 coaches in the past 15 months, Nepal's performance has lacked consistency. New coach Monty Desai has spent only 2 weeks with the Nepali team, while the series is to be his maiden for the country. Scotland and Namibia are strong oppositions. Of the 32 matches played so far, Scotland have won 22 of them and lead the standings with 46 points. While Scotland are playing in Nepal for the first time, their coach Sen Berger is confident about the team adjusting to conditions. Meanwhile, Namibia are in Nepal for the second time and are aiming to finish in the top 2 of the standings. However, despite their strengths, both teams are concerned about the crowd support for the home team. It's time now for the weather update. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.